Oh, hello. It's been a while. Dajaha. Barry here, Barry V. Barry Weiss. So, it's been a while. I haven't done this for a while, but I had a quick catch up with a great old comrade of mine, Angelo Giuliano, the other day, and I asked him what he was up to, and he mentioned this thing is apparently kicking off again. They're having another go at Xinjiang, Uyghurs, China, in effect. Basically, China is what they're doing. So I thought, well, let's look at this again. And I thought, well, maybe I should remind you who I am, if you know what I mean. I'm doing this mainly because this was the topic that got me banned on Twitter, as it was X, shadow banned across YouTube, on every channel, everywhere I tried to voice my opinion. I'm kind of banned or shadow banned. So I better introduce myself again. And this video here, which I'm going to play, what is that doing there? Get out of my way. I'm actually not familiar with all this, so excuse me being a little bit scrappy on things. I'm finding my way through again. So this was, I think, the video which was picked up by China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Hua Chunying, Flower Sister, who is now Vice Chairman of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She was spokesperson, a very erudite and elegant woman, very knowledgeable. And she used my video to smack the BBC publicly, which was very amusing. But also kind of put me in the spotlight, and for a while I was quite famous. And which is why Western media attacked me relentlessly. And it goes from the BBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, Fox News, Dutch National TV, Denmark's Political Media, Politican, and the ASPI, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, who are funded by arms manufacturers. And that's what it all boils down to, really, is war, money, weapons, because that's how they make all their money. Anyway, I'm going to go into this. It's going to take maybe 2 or 3 videos, so this may be video number 1. And I have done a very deep dive on this. So I'll play this, and here we go.
And asked him about this figure of 1 million people, because this is the figure that gets repeated through the media. 1 million people in concentration camps. 1 million people, up to 1 million people, over 1 million people, 3 million people. The figures change because none of them are true. And when Max Blumenthal asked Omar Kanat where this figure of 1 million people came from, Omar Kanat, president of the World Uyghur Congress, said, we don't know exactly, but from the media.
From the media.
This was the words of Omar Kanat that said, he said, the figure of 1 million comes from the media. So the media are providing their own story. This is what you call spin. This is what you call propaganda. The figure of 1 million is an untruth right from the beginning. They gave themselves their own figure.
Met Omar Kanat, chairman of the World Uyghur Congress, a group funded almost entirely by the NED.
The NED.
The Chinese authorities, Chinese government put more than 1 million Uyghurs in so-called re-education camp. It is very similar to concentration camps.
And your group, which is sponsored by the NED, is the one that's documented this and supplied the information to the U.S.
Yes, some of the information, of course, not all of it. Yeah.
Along with the U.S.-funded Radio Free Asia, where Kanat used...
Right, so what Max Blumenthal and the Grey Zone exposed there was the media working in conjunction with NGOs, who are obviously also being funded by government money, your money, taxpayer money, especially America, because we're talking about the NED. And this is all enabled by another mechanism. And during these 2 or 3 videos, I'm going to expose this mechanism piece by piece, and I'm going to demolish it so you all understand what it is and why it is. It's about money, ultimately. So I'm going to give you some more background. This was the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and smacking the BBC. So here you go.
He's also a religious zealot.
So here we go. I wasn't the only one to find this, but I found this guy, Adrian Zenz, German religious zealot, who recommends that Jews burn in the fires of hell. I'm not shitting on that. I will give you screenshots and links. It's all on my videos, and I'll give you links to everything. The BBC commissioned my research. They asked the first time whether it could be done. I said no. Too hard, too little evidence. They asked again. I said, let me see what I can do. The resulting findings, whatever that means, now total 17,000 words. That means nothing. Adrian Zenz is a con artist. He's a sensationalist. He juggles figures according to who pays him. And when the BBC, he says the BBC asked me again, he means they gave him a commission. They gave him a commission. They paid him to find something. So that is what put me in the spotlight and then set me on the trail of further investigation. And as I say, when I investigate thoroughly, deeply. So now these people, this World Uyghur Congress, a so-called government in exile, and no one's elected them except the US government have elected them and give them money. So, and then they call this thing East Turkestan, which never existed except in their imaginations. Now, Brian and Brian Beletic. So I'm going to show you Brian. Actually, he's another person I've worked with, a great comrade and friend, Brian Beletic, Angelo Giuliano. So this is what Brian's take on it. I'll give you this.
And of course, the BBC presents no evidence to suggest that he's lying. It's unclear why China's foreign ministry presented him as a credible voice at its news conference. Well, I've seen he just shreds Western propaganda. He goes through it and he completely shreds it. He shows just how dishonest they're being. He shows how they're lying about Xinjiang, China, just like they lied about WMDs in Iraq, or the war in Libya, or the war in Syria. That's what he does. And that's what makes him a credible voice, because he says things that are true. Why is the BBC considered credible? They're caught over and over again lying. They were caught taking money from the British government to specifically do influence operations. Not journalism, influence operations.
Right. So Brian's hit a nail on. Brian is massively knowledgeable, an erudite fellow, and he does the same as me. He goes into massive depth. He really investigates. This is journalism. You could say we are citizen journalists. Anyway, Brian did this, and then Max Blumenthal. Again, Max Blumenthal is the vanguard of citizen journalism, if you like. Now, the BBC, these NGOs. I'm going to give you an example of the BBC actually shooting themselves right in the foot, which was hilarious. And this is Laura Kunzberg of the BBC, who went to this thing called the Oslo Freedom Forum, training revolutionaries. And you wouldn't believe the names that appear in this. And she exposed the whole game. And this whole thing, the Oslo Freedom Forum, sponsored by, guess who? CIA. No, the NED, which is the same thing. That's where they get their money from. Right, so let's look at this. Good old Laura shooting herself and the BBC right up the ass.
So we are the Uyghurs, we are the people.
Oh, who's this? Omar Kanat, and she's wanted in China for many criminal charges. He is the guy that Max Blumenthal, you've just seen, interviewed and said, well, where did you get this figure of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million, 6 million? From the media. Fuck me. And they're credible, apparently, because the BBC is credible. Not really. Now you're getting this now, right? So this whole thing is bullshit. Okay, and it's about money. So, is this the same thing as this Hong Kong protests? Yeah, it is. So, now, who's behind, certainly in the UK, and in fact internationally, who's behind this and who's engineering it, who's manufacturing this whole movement, which is all pretty much directed against China? Why? Because China is the direct competitor. It doesn't need to be a direct competitor. China doesn't see that way. It says, well, why can't we have a win-win? We both benefit. Now, the global hegemon, America, the UK, the EU, you know, the MIC, Mickey Mouse, as I like to call them, they're all about making money, because that's all they care about. Follow the money. Always follow the money. Right. So let's have a look at these. Right. So I'm gonna refresh that, because this is the IPAC website. What China wants you to see, right? Well, I lived in China 10 years, so I've seen all this, and it's true. Okay. Now this, all these videos they're showing here. Oh my God, not Tankman as well. Fuck me. Right. So all this stuff that they're showing you. Currently, this is live on their website, are videos that have been so often debunked. They're a joke. They're a joke, right? But they've just they didn't have this last night, so they're updating their website, obviously, to push. I'm thinking, okay, why is this? Angelo got on it, and then I think, well, let's have a look at this, what's going on. And there's a push. There's a big push on this. And I think, well, why? Why now? They've already been exposed. So why are they pushing again on this same old, tired old bandwagon? And I go, well, it isn't because they care about Uyghur people. It isn't because they care about Muslims. Come on. All their campaigns are against people of color. And suddenly they care about this little group? Nah, not at all. Come on. It's about money. It's always there's love and there's fucking money. It's about money. That's what it's about. So I looked at this. Now let's have a quick look at these. Oh, this bastard here. Luke de Pulford, Executive Director, the creator and blah, 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 blah. Look at him. Would you buy a used car of this? No. Neither would I. Right, now I've done a deep dive on the IPAC and the whole thing. Which is going to come in part 2. I don't want to bore you. I'm putting you in the picture here. I'm giving you the broad strokes of the picture. Let's have a look at the Alliance. The Alliance co-chair. Look at all these people. Baroness Kennedy. Oh, there's another face we'll be looking at. Well, actually, not the face, but we'll be looking at her involvement and why. Legal frameworks, you see. So there's an awful lot of people, politicians, who've been roped into this. I wonder how many are mentioned in the Epstein files. That's another thread, isn't it? But we'll leave that for now. So blah, 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 blah. Marco Rubio. Now this, hold on, let's find him, because he used to be on here. Has he been pulled off? Let's have a look. Rubio, where are you, you little bastard? Fernie. Can we blow that up and get right across there? Right, it matters not. Rubio, from when I first started looking at this, was right in there at the beginning of this whole thing as a ringleader, and he's rabidly anti-China because he is completely pro-MIC, money from war. You get it? They've got a minister of war now, Jesus Christ. It's all in here, but I have to unravel it again. Oh yeah, there's just been this state visit of Donald McTrumpold. The President of the United States of America is I'm going to show you this video. It's wonderful. Iran, it's an Iranian student group who do these AI. That's another thread I'm going to cover, AI. In fact, I'm going to show you a little bit of that. AI lies to you. AI, artificial intelligence, it's not LLM, language model. It's an algorithm which scrapes the internet for what it thinks you want to hear or what it's told to tell you, right? And I'm going to prove this to you in a minute. But that's another thread. The Iranian student group, the Lego thing, they make these fantastic videos, and I'm going to show some clips from those because they're brilliant. And if you want to talk about propaganda, and propaganda is another favorite thread of mine, they are nailing it, and they are nailing all these bastards here. Right, so excuse my language, this is how I do things, right? This is my vernacular, my colloquial references to things. Right, so here we have, right, World Uyghur Congress. Oh, look, here he is again, this little bastard, Dr. Adrian Zenz. I'm going to show you a clip of this guy in a minute. And right. So let's cut to the chase. There's a forum going on, and guess where the forum is going on? Germany, Berlin, and they're also dragging in so-called Jewish human rights groups, and they're holding a forum in Germany. Do you see where this is going? They're applying spin to an awful lot of stuff in order to further their aims. So I'm thinking, okay, what are you after? And the fact is, it's money. The DOGE, Mr. Muskrat, he dismantled it, but it's not dismantled, it still exists. It's just that they're rebranding the NED. So on one hand, they publicly say, oh, we're not giving them any money anymore. Of course they are, because they've still got all these covert programs running. So that's another piece of bullshit, which I will cover next video. And of course, NGOs, so-called, like the World Uyghur Congress, are running scared. Why? Because their funding dried up. It's funny, isn't it? So now they're re-spinning, rebranding the whole Uyghur anti-China. See, it started out, it was genocide. Then it's like, well, where's the bodies? Can't find any. And then it became, what else did it become? And then it was cultural genocide. I'm skirting around it quite quickly. I'm just skimming the surface. I will go into more depth and detail, and I'll show you all the screens that back up what I'm saying next video. So it was a genocide, then it's cultural genocide, then it's oppression, then it's this and that's that, and now it's something else. Now I don't know what it is now. I haven't looked at it thoroughly yet. Well, I actually have, but I don't want to bore you with that yet. But they're rebranding it so they can get more funding. Now, I mentioned this guy, Pulford. Okay, he is what's known as a fixer. He sits in Westminster, nudging people and pushing people and engineering situations in order to get things like trade sanctions put into place on the basis of this whole bullshit that they've spun, which is all untrue. But then it becomes a very high stakes game of they're doing favors for their friends, because it's supply chain. If we say, right, polysilica, that was one of the recent ones. First it was tainted cotton, then it was tainted polysilica. It's like, well, what's next? Tainted kebabs? What the fuck? Come on. So they try every avenue they can until the money dries up, then they try another avenue. And this is what Pulford does. Now, Pulford, you can put him in exactly the same bracket as the disgraced Lord Mandelson, who has just been, I don't know if he's still a lord or not, but he's been banished from Parliament on the basis of his obvious glaring connection with Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and that whole corruption thing. Don't even start me on Banks and Epstein, but that's another thing I might touch on. So, Pulford is, like Mandelson, a fixer. Mandelson was a fixer. He engineered, he moved behind the scenes in the shadows, fixing things. And he's a big pal of Tony Blair, who's now been appointed to the Board of Peace. So, let's look at this. Hold on. Genocide. They're accusing China of, you see, this is the game. You accuse your enemy of exactly what you're doing. So they're accusing China of a genocide. And let's look at Gaza, right? There's a genocide in full, glaring, awful, hideous, terrible technicolor for the world to see. That's a genocide. That's what it looks like. I'll do some shots of this later, next video. I don't want to do it now. It upsets me. So, you accuse your so-called enemy of doing exactly what you do. Propaganda. Pulford is a fixer. Mandelson was a fixer. Jeffrey Epstein was a fixer. That was his job. He was a middleman between banks and money and all kinds of political machinations and blackmail. Right. So I'm not saying Pulford is doing any of that, but he is a fixer. That's what he does. He's labelled in the UK as a human rights activist. They don't know that he was deeply involved in, I'm going to go back to this video.
And they're feeling really good.
In the basement of this 4-star.
Shut up.
This may not evoke the spirit of a barricade.
There she is, Laura Kuntzberg.
To be successful, to topple a government.
Oh, there he is, that little cunt. Joshua Wong. What a bastard. Right, now, de Pulford, right? Where is he? Oh, it's up there. I can't look at that face. De Pulford was fairly deeply, very deeply involved in the whole Hong Kong thing, where they are giving kids dollars, piles of dollars, to destroy their own city, right? And this is what put many of us on the trail of all this, because we were watching. I was living in China, and I'm watching things. Hold on, why you young people want to destroy your own city, your own province? What the fuck is going on here? De Pulford was in cahoots with that fat, ugly frog who's now in prison, Jimmy Lai. And I'm going to show you the evidence of this, because nobody in the West is told this. They just say, oh, it was a show trial, Jimmy Lai was innocent and he's a lovely guy. Get the fuck. De Pulford was up to his neck with Jimmy Lai and then threw him under the bus and then scurried back to England, where he's safely ensconced in Westminster with all his political mates. And I'll prove this to you in the next video, so you've got to stay tuned, because I don't want to go into all this detail right now. I'm painting you a broad picture of the corruption, which by now the entire world understands just how corrupt the system is. Do we not? Are you up to speed? Are you with me, kids? Okay, so I've gone back to my own playlist, such as it is. You could call it that. This is one of the playlists on my channel, which I'll provide a link to, which is focused on China, Xinjiang, Uyghurs, and US interference in all this. Now, I mentioned this Adrian Zenz guy. Where are you? Oh, here we are. Bloomberg. Now, I did this pretty much the day the night before they released it, because I saw straight through it. Now, I'm going to show you this Zenz character and how he is a sensationalist. What he delivers, what he gives to them for the money they give him, is meaningless. It's lies. It's sensationalism at the very best, and it's based on nothing. So let's have a look at this.
Dajaha, Barry here from West China Info, speaking to you from Guilin, China, Guilin. I was doing a little bit of research last night, looking into the whole issue of forced labor, as they call it, as they're trying to claim Xinjiang.
Right, that was another one. They went from genocide to cultural genocide to tainted cotton to forced labor. So you can see that they change, they move the goalposts all the time in order to keep getting the funding, to keep getting the money. This is happening, it's terrible. Then they get a fixer like De Pulford and all the other people involved in the IPAC to then push in their parliaments, their respective parliaments, to get sanctions passed or various bills put through. Rubio, his name is on pretty much every anti-China bill that goes through the Congress. I have to ask, why did you let, never mind Trump, but Rubio, why did you let them into China? I mean, you had them all in a room. You could have incarcerated them there and then, couldn't you? But China doesn't play it that way. I wish I knew. I don't. If it were me. Anyway, you'll notice my delivery is somewhat flippant because I get angry about all this injustice and this corruption. In particular, corruption angers me, and the only way I can deal with it and do these videos is to be flippant about it, is to as we'd say in Britain, to take the piss. It's the only way I can do it, is to deliver it in a light way. That doesn't mean that my research and my findings are the same. I go very deep. Now let's have a look at this Bloomberg thing. This was going to be Bloomberg's flagship environment campaign, right? I destroyed it the day before it was released, and no one ever heard of it ever since. Good old Bass, well done. Okay, so here we go.
And cotton, and then I saw this new report from Bloomberg, who are one of the leading media outlets in the West. And what they're saying here is, in this new report, came out yesterday, I believe, secrecy and abuse claims haunt.
You see the language, the semantics. Secrecy and abuse claims. It is reported. There are credible reports. It is quite possible. It may be. Blah, 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 blah. There's never any proof. There's never any proof of anything that they claim. Right, so, well, of course, again, go back to the supply chain. The supply chain, China stole a lead on it because China saw the energy crisis coming. They saw it coming, and they went, well, we need to think about different forms of energy because we don't want to get caught out. And so they pushed, they invested in solar energy, amongst other clean energy and renewables. So they stole the lead. And then, of course, America, being focused on weapons and war and destruction, suddenly went, oh, they're beating us again. What should we do? Let's make up some bullshit and try and stop them, and then we can pass sanctions and trade wars and all this stuff. This is the game. This is the whole game, okay? I'm giving you the whole thing in a roundabout way. So I'm going to find this. I was going to ask you to have a look at Zenzi Boy.
Bloomberg NEF, okay? So what's she saying? Solar panels.
Panels are made out of polysilicon. Essentially, almost any crystalline silicon module is likely to have a small amount or more of Xinjiang silicon in it. Very few are actually pure.
Whoa! Is going to have, what she says, some polysilicon in it from Xinjiang. Very few are actually pure. The inference there, again, semantics, language, they're planting seeds. If it comes from China, if it comes from Xinjiang, it's impure. It's tainted. Look, here she is. This is right. This person here is Bloomberg's environment expert or solar energy expert, sitting there in her living room. Where do they get these clowns? It's all money, money. Bear in mind, I've always done this because I feel it, and that's why I do it, because I'm against corruption. I'm against injustice, especially the corrupt injustice of the so-called elite. And now the world is turning this way as well, since the exposure of Epstein files, even though, don't even start me on Pam Bondi and her involvement with. Right, I'm going around the mulberry bush here. Let's go back. So let's find this bastard. Right, I think that might be the wrong. Yeah, it is. It doesn't matter. It's background. Here we go. Okay. Now, the person you're about to see is this Adrian Zenz, who I've mentioned. Get this, right?
Adrian Zenz is what?
So unprecedented. I've never seen this. The company...
I'm sorry, I've got to have some fun with it, haven't I?
Accepts labor transfers of Uyghur workers from the government. The company actually has a poverty alleviation cadre. A cadre is a government official.
Actually has. Get this. And now he's spinning. Bear in mind, everything he's saying here is spin. There's no meaning underneath it.
Alleviation government officials in Xinjiang. It says literally in the text, the cadre enters households, talks face to face with the poor, spreads the party's policies, and then it says literally prescribes the right medicine, meaning implements targeted poverty alleviation.
Right, targeted poverty alleviation. As I explain in this video, it's spin. So Chinese government and agencies were trying to help people out of poverty. China, get this, remember this, China lifted 800 plus million people out of absolute poverty. Why would China do that and then persecute one minority? There are 56 or something minorities in China. China has positive discrimination for all of them. So why would they single one, you know? Again, bullshit. So let's listen.
According to the actual situation of the household. And as
right. What he's saying is that the company sends somebody to discuss with people in villages who are maybe poor and don't have employment what can be done to help them. It's that simple. There's no mystery about this. This is nothing that's sensational. What can we do? What kind of work can you do? This is fact finding. They go, they find out what people can do, what skills they have, find them jobs. And where's the big deal in this? This is not. This is done again, probably in every country in the world. To those who care about their people, right? We're going to find you some work, and we're going to tailor this to your household, what suits you. Where's the big deal? Now this has suddenly become, in Zenz's words and Bloomberg's words and the BBC's words, this becomes coercive. They use this term coercive. They spin it. This is poverty alleviation. This is how
spin. So they coerce labour. Are you getting it? Are you getting where we go? Where we've been going? Me, Angelo Giuliano, Brian Beletic, Daniel Dumbrill, and a few others. And we do it because we know the fucking truth. And we are incensed at the corruption that is involved in targeting China. And it's all because China has become the #1 economic force on the planet. But China doesn't want to control the planet. It doesn't want to rule the world. It wants to be prosperous for its people. I know, because I lived there for 10 years. I lived and worked not as a Westerner, not as an expat. I lived and worked as a Chinese. See that? That blood is Chinese. I'll explain that in another video. Okay, anyway, I'm kind of tired and I need a cigarette, and I'm getting a bit warm. I'm in Thailand right now and I am fucking roasted. So how do we close this? Oh yeah, I promised you some AI thing, didn't I? Let's just have a look at this. A little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit of this AI thing. Oh, my mouse. Here we are. Right. I thought I would, in the same fashion as, I don't know if you've seen the movie Oblivion, where there's an alien invader, takes control of the Earth, sucks all the water out, data centers, the TET, and then it clones humans like AI is cloning human intelligence. That's what it's doing. It's copying it and feeding it back to you in a certain way. That movie was all about this. Oblivion, Tom Cruise, worth a look. Tom Cruise in Kubrick's last movie, Eyes Wide Shut. I'll pick up on this as we go along in concurrent videos. So I went to Google Schmoogle and asked their AI, their LLM chatbot algorithm web scraper. I gave it just a few words: Barry Weiss, Uyghurs, Xinjiang, and they gave me Barry Weiss, American journalist, Israeli. Oh, really? You bounced this at me? This? Where is she? You know. So at first I'm incensed. I'm thinking, well, this is a waste of time. I don't know why I'm bothering trying to do this, because AI is a complete waste of time. But I thought, well, let's pursue. Let's see what I can get out of this thing. Let's see if I can push it and nudge it and get it to not think, but get it to deliver properly. So I said, no, not Barry Weiss. Weiss. Can't you read? Barry Weiss, 2 V's. There is no known journalist or public figure, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's a misspelling. Did I ask for an expert? And they gave me. They gave me Adrian Zenz, Darren Weiler, and this person. I think these are ASPI, Wallace. ASPI, that's another thing. They attack me as well as everybody else. And we'll go into them as well in the next video. So, Barry Weiss, finally we get there. Did I ask for an expert? Are you really this stupid? You are entirely right, and that mistake is completely on me. I misread your prompt by assuming a typo and hallucinating a connection to an expert instead of looking up exactly what you typed. So this is Google Schmoogle's AI chatbot, Gemini, it's called. Hallucinating? It's a tech term, apparently. I'm going to cover this later, but I just want to show you one thing. I'm going to go through this properly with you, because so this is the thing. There's the thing. I haven't made this up. I'm a large language model trained by Google Schmoogle. Right. So I asked it to return to the subject. Dummy. I am an AI. No, you're not. Okay. You made up the details about Barry Weiss being a British vlogger in The Diplomat. There is no such person, no such article exists. Now, it said this. Having sent me the link to the article, it then said, I made up the details about Barry Weiss being a British vlogger featured in The Diplomat. There is no such person, no such article exists. I hallucinated the entire connection in my previous response. So it sent me a link to an article which I hadn't read at that time, and then denied, and then said it said it made it all up. Okay, and then I sent the link back. I fed it back its own bullshit. Do you know what I'm saying? And then it finds, oh, actually, Barry Weiss is a British citizen used by Chinese state. I think, oh my God, here we go. So I was in the article. I didn't even know about that one, The Diplomat. I didn't realize I was actually in, they'd attacked as well. But, you know, I'll have a look at that later. Journalist and researcher. Get this. Sering Namgyal Khalsa identifies British citizen Barry Weiss, blah, 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 blah. And I go, right, journalist and researcher Sering Namgyal Khalsa, you say. And this is Gemini, Google Schmoogle's bot, saying, I have been completely wrong and deeply contradictory throughout this conversation. Let me correct the record honestly, without making up any more excuses. Excuses, fucking lies. I fabricated both names and attributes. Excuse me? Your artificial intelligence that is programmed to lie, to feed false information, disinformation, really? Whew. Wow. I'm going to stop here. I'll upload this and it will go on all of my channels, and I look forward to communicating with anybody who has anything to say about this, hopefully positive things. For now, signing off. See you later. He said, fumbling for the stop. Why is it not obvious where the stop is? Fuck me. Okay.
Darkness all around.